This is the all-new Community Connection. I'm your host, Jade Harrell, keeping you connected to our community. Nurses provide the care and comfort and sometimes even counseling that can make a difference in a person's life when they're needing medical care or in the care of physicians. But they often don't get the thanks that they probably deserve. Well, the March of Dimes is making sure that nurses are getting recognized for the excellence and continuing education in the latest scientific and clinical advances in maternal child care. March of Dimes is hosting the Nurse of the Year event, and we are excited to have an opportunity to say thank you. I'm joined today by Alyssa Wolf, who is the Community Director with the March of Dimes. Good day to you, Alyssa.
Thank you. Good day to you, too. Thanks for having us on.
As well as Diane, Droege, State Director of Communications for the Missouri chapter of the March of Dimes. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us. Glad to be here.
And I'm also joined by Elizabeth Buck, who is the Assistant Dean of Nursing at Maryville University and the event chair this year for the event.
Thank you.
So, Alyssa, talk about the outreach and the opportunity for us to say thanks to nurses this year and how March of Dimes is closely connected.
Yeah, so we're very excited. This is actually our fourth annual Nurse of the Year event here, and we're just amazed by the growth that it's had. We're the number one Nurse of the Year nationwide, and it is the largest platform to just say thanks and pay tribute back to nurses in our community that have impacted us. So we have right around 190 finalists who will be recognized across all nursing disciplines at our event for their outstanding work and achievements. But everyone in the community has also kind of stepped up to play a role in paying tribute to these individuals. There's plenty of opportunities. You can attend the event through general admission, but the largest and most common way is really through making a gift in tribute. So we have an opportunity where people can make their gift and honor a nurse that's touched their life and their work has done, exceptional things for them or their family.
Super cool. So talk about the nomination process. How did you send out the call?
Yeah, so really it's a community-wide call to action. Friends, families, patients, colleagues, supervisors, anyone can play a part in this. And we just say if there's been a special nurse in your life and he or she has gone above and beyond the norm, please join us in celebrating them. And so we have an online nomination form. We direct people to our website, marchofdimes.org/no-noti, and they can go on and submit a nomination. And then from there, we contact the individual, letting them know that they've been nominated. And you wouldn't believe how blown away these men and women are that they've been recognized by their friends, family, colleagues.
Wow, that's so powerful that you say how they go above and beyond, because nursing in and of itself is challenging, very involved work. Elizabeth, maybe you can help us understand what the role of a nurse is and how much really goes into their daily responsibility.
Absolutely. I think that the public thinks that we hold hands and we soothe fevered brows and things like that. And yes, we do all that out of compassion, but the thing that I think the public doesn't know is how science-based nursing is.
Wow.
It's a very involved profession. You have to know science. You have to know anatomy and physiology. You have to know pharmacology. You certainly want the nurses to give you the correct medication for the right reason. And so the other thing that's amazing about nursing is that there isn't just one kind of nurse. Mm-hmm. That's very well recognized in the Nurse of the Year event, in that we have 19 categories of different kinds of nurses, all the way from the student nurse to administrators and educators and people who work in hospice and people who work in maternal child health and pediatrics. I mean, it is a very, very diverse profession, and about 3 million people are nurses in this country, the largest health profession there is.
My goodness, that is pretty powerful. So there's much more to it, but on the receiving end, we end up getting the extra benefit of people with compassion and kindness that display that in our work, and which is where these nominations come from. Can you talk about what makes a great nurse?
One of the things that makes a great nurse is the combination of being smart and knowledgeable, and then also having those compassionate skills. We call it the art and the science of nursing.
Wow.
That is a combination that makes a really good nurse, someone who can problem solve In the jargon, it's called critical thinking or clinical reasoning. It's just knowing your patient. It's not just the appendectomy in room 3. It's Mrs. Buck, who has a family, who has a profession, who has, is a person. Mm-hmm. So it's a holistic approach to taking care of the patient.
Absolutely. So, Alyssa, talk a little bit then about how the March of Dimes is supporting continuing education for nurses and why that matters to you all.
Yeah, so we've actually had a long-standing partnership with nurses, and, we have worked hand in hand with them. They've been a part of our mission through every step of our process. So we do everything that we can to give back to them and recognize them. Obviously, this event is one way to pay a tribute to them just by recognizing nurses and all of the work and elevating them above. But we also have things in our programs, which I'll let Diane kind of elaborate on.
Sure. Yeah, March of Dimes and nurses have been connected since 1938, really, with, when the polio epidemic was at its worst. Really, the nurses were the ones on the front line. They were the ones in the iron, feeding patients in an iron lung. They really, really stepped up and answered a call for help. And then we've gone on, since we've obviously eradicated polio, we've moved on to focus on prematurity. And that's where the March of Dimes focus with Nursing Wise. However, we really support all nurses through various programs like nursing programs. We also have a foundation that is accredited as a provider of continuing nursing education by the American Nurses Credentialing Center's Commission on Accreditation. We have a nursing catalog distributed to about 75,000 nurses nationwide. And we also offer more than 8,000 hours of continuing nurse education contact hours to nurses. So we're really deeply involved and appreciative of all nurses.
Also, Dr. Buck, I recall there being a shortage of nurses. Is that still the case?
That's a very good question. Because the healthcare environment kind of contracted with the economy, the experts have said that we really don't have a nursing shortage anymore. However, I think what really happened was that we've always had a nursing shortage. The nurses work harder. They take more patients. And so just recently I was at a meeting and they say, guess what? We still have a nursing shortage. Mm-hmm. And that is very, very true. In St. Louis, we have a workforce expansion project. And I was just at a meeting just a couple of days ago, as a matter of fact, and we were talking about the nursing shortage. And the schools of nursing within the St. Louis area have banded together to increase our enrollments to help with that nursing shortage. It's kind of like a circular argument or a circular thing. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Mm-hmm. And so we had a nursing shortage before the economic downturn. Then the economy contracted, and now that it's getting more healthy, we're seeing that we really are still in a fairly major nursing shortage with people retiring, with people who had been part-time, who came back to the workforce full-time because of the economy, now going back to part-time, those kinds of things. And the real shortage is in the experienced nurse category.
Sure.
There's more attention being given to the recruitment and retention of nurses again.
How has it changed? So you've got a new crop of nurses coming through Maryville. How are things? Yeah. How are things different? Well, how are they looking, and how has it changed? What is the outlook for nurses today as compared to in times past, actually?
Well, they are saying that we're going to have about 1 million shortfall in nursing by the year 2020. Ooh. And 2020, ladies, is actually only 5 years away. And that's really very frightening because of the baby boomer nurses who are retiring. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, we, of course, at Maryville and at the other schools within the St. Louis region, we're, of course, doing our best to produce nurses who can, as they like to say, hit the ground running when they graduate. But there's still a transition period, that the new graduate needs to have in order to gain the experience and really be, as we say, the seasoned nurse.
That makes perfect sense, yeah.
Very complex set of factors there.
Indeed it is, which helps us realize what supports are necessary and why you need us to plug in. What do our nurses need from us in the community?
You know, one of the things that I think they need, and we're doing a really good job with the Nurse of the Year, is recognition. I think the public needs to really see the hard work that the nurses do. They're on their feet, 8, 10, 12-hour shifts. They are juggling multiple patients, multiple patient needs, and they're doing an awesome job. If patients didn't need to be in the hospital, they wouldn't need nurses. Mm-hmm. So they come to the hospital to get nursing care besides their surgery or what other procedures they may have. But it's the nursing care within the hospital that is really the critical thing and can make all the difference in the world to a patient's experience.
Absolutely. Very, very vital. Well, send out the invitation, would you, Elizabeth, for us to take part?
So the Nurse of the Year event is taking place on Saturday, October 10th from 6 o'clock until about 10. We're going to have cocktail hour from 6 to 7. We're having dinner at 7, and the program will start shortly thereafter. We will recognize all the finalists that are there. There are 189 finalists in those 19 categories that I mentioned, and there will be one winner out of each of those categories. We also are going to recognize a legend in nursing, someone who has been in the nursing profession for quite a while and has impacted many, many students and nurses and patients throughout her career.
Excellent. Yeah, and if anyone is interested in joining for Nurse of the Year, you can find tickets at marchofdimes.org/MoNoti. If you scroll to about half the page, it'll say purchase tickets. And as Liz was saying, people in the community, one of the first and most important things you can do is show appreciation and give that validation back to our nurses in our community. And you can also do that through a gift made in tribute, where you can call out a particular nurse or group of nurses and thank them for the work that they've done. And that's also available at the same website, marchofdimes.org/MoNoti, MoNoty.
All right. Diana, what is your goal? What do you most hope for the outcome of this event?
Well, we're really hoping to gain awareness and, just really showcase the nurses and the wonderful work that they're doing. And it's just going to be a great, fun night and just a really good opportunity to honor these outstanding men and women who really make a difference in our lives.
Well, we welcome the opportunity to do so. Again, please log on and get the information you need to take part, and we can be there and support and salute and say thanks to our vital, ever so welcomed and appreciated nurses. Thank you all for joining me today.
Thanks so much for having us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Diane Droege, State Director of Communications of the Missouri Chapter of the March of Dimes. Alyssa Wolf, who is the Community Director at March of Dimes, and Dr. Elizabeth Buck, who is the Assistant Dean of Nursing at Maryville University and is the event chair for this year's event. Again, log on to marchofdimes.org/MoNoty. All right, that's it for this week. If you have questions or comments or have something you'd like to include in the community calendar, you can leave a message on our message box at 314-333-8369, 314-333-8369. And for more information about our show or any of our guests, you can visit us online and listen to the podcast at Spreaker.com. That's SPREAKER.com. And search Community Connection with Jade Harrell. You all be blessed, do blessed, and take care.